All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Thursday night. Talking some UFC with my man, Big Marley, as always. 12 fights. So 12 fights is my magic number. We have 12. Earlier in the week, it looks like 10 to me. That's what Tapology said. It skipped number 8. Another tough fight was added. Another tough fight was added. So 12 fights, UFC. 3 of them are tough finales. They're actually my favorite. Some of the 3 best fights on the card, in my opinion, though, especially in DFS. Mid-tiers loaded, 7 p.m. Eastern in the Apex. Excited to talk some fights with you. Then right after this, we're going to rip a best ball draft on the best site to do it, Drafters. Head over to drafters.com. Shout out to them for sponsoring the show. It's like 88,000 right now to 160,000 people in their main contest. I don't know how they're going to fill it. It's overlaid the past 2 years. Regardless, my favorite site to draft on. I'm excited to draft a little bit with Big Marley after this. Use that promo code SHIPIT. Head over to drafters.com for 100% matching bonus. Big Marley, I'll bring you in. Then I'll say hi to people in chat. How are we doing on this fine Thursday afternoon?
Yeah, better than last week, that's for sure. But yeah, I think it's a pretty decent card. It's kind of a tough card, actually. I mean, well, it's actually a tough card, but kind of a hard DraftKings card as well. I was trying to build a lineup before we got on, and then I wasn't finding anything that I really like, so I'll probably just avoid the single entry, make it an MME type of card, and hopefully get lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk about getting lucky. A lot of skill in there as well. Hoopster. I mean, come on. Back-to-back weeks shipping the big 555, 35K 2 weeks ago with our man Gary. Last week, $70,000 for Hoop on an absolute roll. We also had, shout out, Lay the House, an OG around here in a lot of the streets, NASCAR, NFL, $18,000. He was second place in the chop in the main. Wasn't a big chop, and it was a solo shipper. So shout out to you. 18 big ones is awesome. I think we also had Chief, $300, his single entry. He shipped it. Awesome stuff. He said it was his first shipper over here. Hey, whether it's $100, whether it's $500, whether it's thousands, whatever it is, everyone is in a different spot. I love how Hoop says that, like, it's life-changing money, or like really buys the groceries for a month, whatever it is. We always include all the bankrolls. I love seeing those first place, $300. So cool by Chief. Shout out Badlands. I got 2 other ones. Badlands, he won the single entry, $100 single entry contest DraftKings was doing. They were doing the leaderboard contest. First place in that. That is very, very hard to do. Shout out to you, Badlands. And then our man Jordan Nunes, always around as well. Very much enjoy him. Another Wisconsin guy. He took 5th in that $5 single entry one. So MMA streets have absolutely been on fire. I would have had the shipper if it wasn't for Kai Kara France absolutely ending my dreams. Had DDP at the end. It was a fun main event. But hey, don't get too highs on your highs. Don't get too lows on your lows. That's what DFS is all about. Ben's in here. Williams in here. Sean Sullivan, Nate D, Jonathan catching his first live show. We love to see that. I do know many of you watch on playback. We appreciate you guys just as much. All we ask for is like button. Subscribe button helps us out a ton. Next week, there is no UFC, so there will be no show, of course. Mark that down. The week after will be first week of NFL, of course. So we will not be doing the show right now. It'll be Wednesday night at 9 Eastern. We definitely want to watch some football. We will be watching Thursday Night Football to kick it off. This show, I assume all of you guys will be watching this too. This show will be on Wednesday, so 2 weeks from now. Mark that down in your calendar. I will mention that in Discord as well. What's going on, Joanne? What's going on, Aaron? Let's get all the marketing out right away before we talk these 12 fights, Big Marley. Football going to be here next week. This time we're watching NFL. Big boy NFL season coming up. College football, though. Real football starts week 0. D-Gen's going to be going live tomorrow. Let's listen to the man, D-Gen himself, talk about what we have at SHIPIT Nation before we talk about these 12 fights.
I just checked my calendar, and you know what? It's August, which means one thing. Football's back, and if you can't get excited for football in August, I got nothing for you, big guy. The big guy is excited. Guy in the back is excited. SHIPIT Nation is excited, and darn it, you better be excited too. So let's get started. Everything that SHIPIT Nation has to offer you in 2024. I hope you saw what an incredible year it was at SHIPIT Nation in 2023 for NFL season. And if you're thinking to yourself, I want all that again, well, don't worry. You're going to get it all and more. We have an entire team over here at SHIPIT of just the sweatiest tryhards you've ever met who are ready to offer you every single thing you need for every single slate, including the stack rankings, the DVP rankings, slate plans, player pools, every single thing. And oh yeah, if you don't know, all the stuff that I did at my site last year, DGen75, is now over at SHIPIT. I told you were going to get everything we offered and then more. So it's no surprise that at SHIPIT Nation, they had 3 Millionaire Maker winners last year, over 2 dozen six-figure winners, and a handful of game-changing hits from our community. But what is it that I'm bringing over from DGen75 that's so special? Well, first of all, this thing called the Stone. If you don't know, I invented this for college football to try to help everybody, and now it has just turned into the best tool in all of DFS. You want my ownership and my projections. You want to know who's a good cash play, who's a good GPP play. I put it all into one place called the Stone. I do this for PGA. I do this for college football. We do this for NFL. And here's the best part. You get all of this in one place in addition to everything that SHIPIT Nation is already offering. You're still getting your Tambo, your Hoop, your Marley, your Title, your Hamwich. All of those guys, the sweatiest tryhards, are now there, and you get this in addition to the tools. And here's the best part. None of it is an upsell. It's all the same price, if not cheaper than everybody else in the community, and you're getting double the tools. This is what we do at SHIPIT. We want you spending your money on your contests and not on your content. So if that NFL Stone caught your eye, let me tell you about the college football Stone. I know a lot of you are saying college football is not even legal in 20 states. Yeah, but that means it's still legal in 30. And I am telling you, college football DFS is the next sport that's coming up. If you're intimidated by it, you don't know anything about it, well, don't worry. I have a Stone right here that tells you what's a good cash play, what's a good GPP play, ownership, projections, everything you need, just like we offer for NFL. This was a big part of the merger when DGen came over, is I wanted to bring this over to SHIPIT Nation so people can see how fun college football DFS is. And you're thinking to yourself, man, I don't want to pay no $300 for no college football package. Well, don't worry. We don't separate our packages. We only have a football package. NFL and college football are one package, and here's the best part. Even if you just want to play NFL, our package is already cheaper than all of the competition, and you're basically just getting college football for free. So why in the hell would you not want it? It is an awesome tool. I have the sweatiest tryhard team behind me. College football DFS is a great little addition, and we don't upcharge it because, once again, put your money into your contests and not into your content. So what is this great price, and how does it compare to the competition? Well, let's just put up a chart, Bob. Here you go. You can see that we don't break it into a bunch of packages. We just have a football package, which includes both NFL and college football for $299. Here's the best part. You sign up before September 5th. We're going to give you free run of the entire website, MMA, PGA, MLB. You can be doing all of that stuff all the way up till September 5th just on us, because that's what we do to take care of our members. Not to mention, when you look at this, just start comparing the price. You are literally going to be saving hundreds, if not thousands of dollars during the season. That is things you could be putting into your DraftKings and FanDuel lineups and not wasting, giving it to your touts and paying for shit that you don't need. Pay for what you deserve and get quality. That is what we offer here at SHIPIT Nation. 2024 has been a magical year for SHIPIT Nation. The merger between SHIPIT Nation and DGen has gone better than we could have ever expected. Just look at the success across NASCAR and PGA, MMA, MLB. All of the sports out there have been incredible, and now we're going to carry it over to this football season with NFL and college football, and we are going to blow your hair back by giving you the best product at the best price out there. We're also going to teach you about sustainability, about how to play DFS sustainably so you can be there long enough to hit those wins, to get those big hits. We don't care if it's $50, $500, $5,000. We want you to play long enough until you can hit it, and we can do that by giving you great tools at an affordable price, and that is our mission here at SHIPIT Nation. Come be a part of the most incredible community out there. Come be a part of a place that teaches you how to win, and come be a part of a place that celebrates your wins and not fucking moderators' wins. It's been awesome. 2024, the year of SHIPIT Nation. Come join the nation. It's going to be special in 2024. I'm out, you motherfathers.
Man, and the best news today, seeing his video with the update. If you guys haven't seen, go to his X. Said the cancer has shrunk a little bit. He has to, obviously, he can't be doing the chemo forever. So this next 6 months, this next year will be huge. Gonna come off the chemo a little bit. Obviously, still have some. Hopefully, the cancer still shrinks. Doesn't get any bigger. But the best news I heard all day, hearing he'll be back doing the Wednesday emergency golf streams, the Friday college football streams. We'll be talking football with Tambo on the first look. man, the energy, the inspiration of D-Gen. Shout out to him. And like you said, I mean, out there, if you want to play college football, you'll be paying $350, $400 at some of these sites. $299 with an optimizer for not only college football, NFL. You get NFL, college football is free. $249 if you don't even want the Shiptimizer. Again, spend less on content, more on your contests. We appreciate every single one out here. What's going on, Langley, AK Jeff? And speaking of the winner last week, shout out our man Sheets. He said he was going to give away, and I really liked how he did this too, a membership to whoever got closest to the optimal score or to the winner in the flagship. So it was a solo shipper. I can't remember the name. Shout out to you, solo ship. Very impressive. Left it was like a pivot off a pivot. I can't even exactly remember. After Kaikar France ruined my hopes, I was just cheering for Hoop. But 641.43 was the actual winning score. Alaska Jeff gets 640.1. So right there. Very impressive. I'm just putting it up right here. Alaska Jeff, take a picture of your YouTube, email info@shippingnation.com saying this. Again, make sure to take a picture of your YouTube. We will get you hooked up with a free monthly membership on our man sheet. So shout out to you guys. Let's talk some fights, Big Marley. Any broad slate overviews? Mine quick is I like the mid-tier. I like the mid-tier a lot. We do have 3 big favorites on the card. We saw a big favorite last week in Tom Nolan, though, absolutely not score enough to get there. 3 big favorites. I think the mid-tier stacked, and I'm including the main event in that mid-tier. The tough finales, main event, that's who I'm going to be targeting. Couple live dogs out there, couple clash of styles, but yeah, I think it should be a solid card. I'm just happy we got 12 fights. Any broad slate overviews before we go fight by fight?
Not really, man. But yeah, good news from D-Gen today. Wishing him the best. Love hearing that guy kick off these promos, man. Hypes me up.
Absolutely. Let's talk some fights, Big Marley. We'll start bottom to top like always, and we start with the biggest favorite on the card, making her UFC debut, Wayne Kong, taking on Victoria Leonardo, minus 1,200 for Kong, plus 800 for Victoria Leonardo, minus 215 for this fight to finish. See, this is where it makes no sense. This fight's minus 215 to finish, but Wayne is minus 235 inside the distance. So obviously, if you ever see that, you just buy the fight to finish. Makes 0 sense, but that's the numbers I'm looking at. Leonardo's plus 1,550 inside the distance. Now, Wang has got a lot of money. So this fight open minus 350 on the Wang side, plus 285 on Leonardo. Just has absolutely gotten hammered, pretty much as bad as you'll ever see the books be off up front. Then the inside the distance prop open minus 130 and just steadily has climbed to minus 230. Now we'll have ownership, we'll have projections, everything up tomorrow, but I will give a little hint. Big Marley he does her ownership over here, has done very, very good with it. We have Wang at 28% and the next 4 fighters below, all higher than Wayne Kong. So I love to see that right away with 12 fights, with a strong mid-tier that I think. Again, it is harder to get different in lineups to use Wayne Kong because it's harder to leave more money on the table, but there's enough lower-owned pieces. I like Wayne Kong. Minus 235 inside the distance should be better everywhere. The one kind of concern is Victoria Leonardo is best on the mat, so it probably stays on the feet. But at these odds, I mean, you can pencil in maybe a knockdown, ground and pound. Maybe she gets a takedown. She just gasses her out. All this money, all this steam, minus 235 inside the distance. And as one of the lower owned, she's not going to be low owned by any means. But we have 28%. She's 28%. I absolutely love it. So, yeah, and Leonardo's a fade. I don't think she's UFC caliber. I think it's a really tough spot for her. So I'm on Wang for DFS. Obviously not a hot take at the money line. But shout out Lay of the House, $18,000 richer after last week. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I agree. Leonardo's going to be a pass for me as well. She's going to have to get this fight to the mat and either grind out 2 wins or try and get a submission along the way. But yeah, I just think Wang is going to piece her up on the feet. I really like her striking a good amount. My issue is that she's $9,600 and she's primarily a striker though. So if she doesn't get a finish, I don't know how she pays off that $9,600 because I doubt she goes out there and looks for wrestling very much. She did have a nice submission in one of her last couple fights, but I just don't think she's going to want to go to the ground in this one. Just go out there, showcase your striking. That's why you're a minus 1,200 favorite in this one. But at $9,600, I don't know how much I'll be able to afford. We got to find some cheap underdogs to get there. Maybe I'll keep her in the player pool. I was thinking that she could be a fade, but you might have talked me into a little bit of Kong exposure in this one. But I do think she wins all 3 rounds. Just keeps it standing. Maybe she gets a TKO along the way. Just gives her a little bit too much punishment that she can't take. But I just don't love taking finishes especially knockouts at this level of WMMA.
That makes sense. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. I almost never do this, but this is so relevant because you were going to fade Wayne Kong. Now you said I might have talked you into a little bit. I was thinking I was going to fade Michael Morales in 20 and below. So we're skipping way above. I almost never do this, but it's very relative to the price range. Morales is the second biggest favorite and highest price on the card. Wayne Kong, 9,600. Morales, 9,500. We have Morales at minus 850. Magny at plus 600. This fight's plus 125 to finish. Morales plus 130. Magny plus 1,100. Now, I was thinking, okay, if I somehow have 9,500 in a lineup, and I don't think most of my lineups, probably not, I'll live in the low 9Ks, the mid to high 8Ks. But if I have all the way up there, I think I just want Wayne Kong because, Neil Magny can make fights boring. Michael Morales himself can be low volume. It's not really that he's low volume. Like, if you look at his actual props, they're pretty good. He lands 5.28 significant strikes per minute, 2.4 takedowns per 15 minutes. But his last 2 fights that have won to decision, 65 DK points, 64 DK points. Neil Magny's tough to finish, a UFC vet. This fight's expected to go the distance. So I was thinking kind of what you were saying, like I was going to X Morales in 20 and below. I wanted up X someone up top. Now I can see them making if I have 50 lineups. I'm not going to be, and I will play 50. I always love that $3. I won't be Xing him there because he's minus 900 favor. Like, of course he can go out there, start from round 1 or whatever. But I like Kong's price more. I like the upside more for the price for Kong. I like Edmund for cheaper. The main event's cheaper. It's easier to leave money. So how do you look at Wayne Kong and Morales? And then I won't have any Magny either. So it fades out right away for me. But what is your thoughts on those two in this fight in general?
Yeah, if my ownership is right, then I'm cool with Kong over Morales. But he's just another one where I really wasn't planning on paying up that much for him because he can wrestle. I like his wrestling upside more than Kong's, and he's got power too. I think he's a stud. But yeah, I do think that Magny can just make this more of a boring fight. And he's coming off of 64 and 65 point wins. You might as well take a loss at $9,500 for those scores. I don't think he's going to be quite that low, but it wouldn't shock me to see him mid-70s in this one, and that's not going to cut it either. So, yeah, I think both of them are decent fades at the price. And then I'll just get a little bit more different by leaving extra salary on the table. But matchup-wise, I do think he's just a little bit better than Magny everywhere. Magny's more experienced, has cardio for days. But I just don't think Morales is going to be a guy that he can really tire out and come on late to get one of those third-round finishes. So I like Morales to go out there and really win anywhere, but probably primarily on the feet and win 30-27 to where he just doesn't score enough either. So both of them will be underweight for me, and I'm not against Xing them out either, especially with 10 or less lineups. I'm fine Xing Kong and Morales out.
And if you had to pick one to X out, who would you pick?
Probably Morales. If I'm right on ownership, I would say Morales.
Yeah, we have Morales higher on. If you're right on ownership, I definitely agree with that. I didn't have it that way. I'm not going to lie. Again, it's all I've been wrong so many times on how I see the ownership. But that's one, if we knew ownership, yeah. If Morales was 35%, which we have him somewhere roughly around there, just say he was 15%. I would have changed my approach on that and not minus 900 favor, plus 130 inside the distance for 15%, which means he'd be way lower owned than the rest of the tier. Then the whole thought process changed. We play an ownership game, a dupe game. That's what MMA is. So again, ownership is very important. Our ownership's posted. If you play MMA enough, you can have your own opinions. You can adjust it a little bit. I adjust my thoughts in it a little bit, and then you can have different ownerships because you think they're going to be lower owned. Okay, then I'll find getting a little more. You think they're going to be even higher owned. Okay, I want to be lower owned. So ownership means so in all sports, but really in MMA, ownership means way more in MMA than MLB. for obvious reasons that way. There's only 24 fights. There's not stacking. There's less combinations, less roster spots, etc. So wanted to bring that up a little tangent. I almost never skip fights, but 9,600, 9,500, the two highest money line by far. I think that's an important talking point. And I'm with Big Marley. Most of my lineups will not have either of them because I don't love the cheap dogs, and I love that mid-tier. But yeah, good start to that. Let's keep it rolling. The first tough fight on the card. So we have three of them. That means like they were all in the house. They are not in the UFC yet. The winner gets a contract. I'll admit right away, I don't watch any of the tough stuff. I think it's way worse product than it used to be. I prefer the Contender Series. I have a life. I can think of other better things to do in my life. So I watch some tape. I'm going to rely on props a lot. I'm especially going to rely on line movement more so than I even usually do when it comes to these, because the lines just came out. Some of them, like this one, came out today, that we're about to talk about. These other ones came out yesterday, the day before. So they're a lot more inefficient because they haven't been bet out as much. There's not as much money in them, so the lines will move more. So I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye, especially on the three tough fights in terms of line movement. But I always do, of course. Nathan Fletcher, Zimatas Ramaska, minus 151 is Fletcher. Ramaska plus 131 coming back. So we don't have inside the distance props for any of the three tough fights. We have over-unders. Under 1.5 in this one, minus 130. Under 2.5, minus 385. So right away, I'm looking at props. Love them. Under 2.5, a big number. Looking at the line movement on the money line. Fletcher open minus 170. Ramaska plus 145. Ramaska took some money to start, got down to plus 130. Fletcher got hammered a little bit. So then it was all the way up to like minus 180. Now Ramaska back down to the plus 130 range. I'm going to throw this one right to you. It looks to me like wrestler or grappler versus striker. Ramaska is going to be bigger. Fletcher is going to be the smaller guy. Fletcher, 6 of his 8 wins by submission. Ramaska had a sick, tough fight. It was against like this Omes guy or something. I watched it. Really fun. Looks like a fun striker. One of my favorite fights to target on the card, right in the mid-tier, 8,400, 7,800. I guess I just talked about mine first, and I said I was going to go to you. But what do you see in this one? Do you have a strong lean?
Yeah, Ramaska won his fight on tough, but I guess he had a fracture in his face and wasn't medically cleared to continue. But yeah, it was an awesome fight. I only watched the fights from the people that are fighting on this card, but it was by far my favorite one that I watched. The other ones were kind of putting me to sleep. But Fletcher, man, maybe his opponent was just way tougher, but he had horrible takedown defense. Nothing about his striking. I mean, he didn't have a whole lot of time to strike, but he didn't look good anywhere, in my opinion. So maybe against somebody who's not very good on the mat, he can go out there and get a rear naked choke against to look like that's his specialty. But I only watched his one fight, and I just wasn't impressed. And I mean, Ramaska is like awkward, but he was going out there with bad intentions. And
it was fun. Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised the other guy kept standing. But Ramaska, I think he's the better striker. I think he's a more dangerous striker. And then based off Fletcher's takedown defense, I feel like Ramaska could get a couple takedowns along the way as well. So I thought that he could be a slight favorite in this one. Didn't really understand why Fletcher was like minus 170. I'll probably have to go back and watch a couple other Fletcher fights. But right now, Ramaska is my preferred play. He's an underdog, I think, that could be favored, which I always like to pick. And at 7,800, especially with that under 2.5 rounds, I'll probably be overweight on him. And then Fletcher, I'm going to have to find some more film for me to want any exposure to 8,400. But if he is going to go out there and wrestle and be offensively good on the mat, then he could make sense at that price tag. I just got to see more from him. I only saw the one crappy performance from him.
Yeah. So Ramaska is in a 4-inch height advantage as the primary striker. Looks to be the stronger one in the matchup. But seeing 6 of 8 wins for Fletcher, I take it he's going to probably have a good inside the distance prop. Like, I'm waiting for these to come out. But minus 385 for under 2.5, under 1.5 favorite at minus 130, and Fletcher's the favorites. So I don't think I'm going to be able to fade it because I assume it's going to be like a plus 165 somewhere inside the distance prop, 8,400. I just never fade those. We'll talk about the main event. I'm not going to make a rule to have 100 plus. We've seen Kyle win a decision. I think there's past he wins a decision and can get outscored by some of these mid-tier fights. So maybe like if I am fading the main event, I'm very likely to have somebody in this fight. But yeah, one of my favorite fights to target. Looks like a clash of styles from what I've seen. Let's keep it rolling to a fight I do not have much interest in. Curious to hear your takes. Jacqueline Cavalcante taking on Josiana Nunes. Minus 225 Cavalcante. Plus 190 is Nunes. Nunes, the underdog, a decent-sized underdog, actually has better inside the distance prop at plus 350. Cavalcante plus 365 inside the distance. One thing I want to highlight, anytime I see the name Josiane Nunes, she is very, very short. Stands 5'2". Cavalcante 5'8", will have a 6-inch height advantage. Now, that's nothing for Nunes. She fought Bay Malecki, which is like 6'7". Obviously, she's not 6'7". That's how the difference looked in the cage, though. And she was just throwing overhand lefts way above her head and actually did catch her. So Nunes, both girls haven't landed a takedown. I don't love this fight. When I wrote it up, there's only like 11 fights on the card. So I was going to, I didn't know if I should go underweight on this one or the Ricci one. Now I think I want to have very few of this fight and probably cap it. Cavalcante's been taking money, so I probably want to overspend on her if I had to choose, but I don't know. She landed 124 significant strikes last fight. Talk to me. It's not a great fight for me, but maybe you'd see it different.
No, I think it's my least favorite fight on the card. The only advantage I give to Nunes is punching power, but again, I just don't like relying on knockouts in WMMA fights at 135 pounds. And I think Cavalcante is just the clear minute winner in this one. I like her to go out there, win 30-27 on the feet, just to avoid the big bombs. And she should maybe double her up on strikes, just look like the clean, much cleaner, better, more technical striker overall. And as long as she's not getting dropped throughout these 3 rounds, I think she wins all 3 of them. So I think the value's on her side as well on the money line.
There we go. I like it. What's going on, Kenny? Always in the streets, MMA, MLB, NFL, PGA, whatever it is, doing very well. So shout out to you, Kenny. Hope everything's going good. Let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, another big, big favorite. Zach Reese taking on Jose Medina. Zach Reese minus 600, Medina plus 425 on the way back. This inside the distance prop minus 500, Zach Reese minus 325 inside the distance, Medina plus 650. Zach Reese in round 1 plus 110. So this is the stuff. Zach Reese 9,200. You can easily leave 400 plus. Avoid Kong. Avoid Morales. And again, people are going to do that. So it's not maybe the only thing you need to do, but people also do like leaving or using their salary when they need to. So you cut off from 30 dupes down to like 7 dupes. Give me Zach Reese over these guys up top any day. And you can argue he has more upside. What he did to Julian Marquez was nasty. I think the easiest path here is takedowns. He should run through Medina on the mat if he wants to go that route. Plus 110 in round 1, pretty good as well. So, yeah, I like Zach Reese. I guess, are you even going to play any Medina in 20 and below?
Yeah, I'll use Medina more as a hedge just because I don't know what Reese is going to look like if this gets past the first round. All of his wins are in the first round. He looks like a world beater. I mean, I think he's going to have a big striking edge in the first round, could mop the floor with them as well. I just have no idea what his cardio looks like. And I think if he does start to gas out, then Medina's got a big ceiling, just putting it on a gassed fighter, probably finishing him late. So yeah, I'll be heavy on Reese. Actually, he's probably my favorite fighter on the card. I much prefer him over Morales and Kong. So I'll just save that money, go down to him. But yeah, as a hedge, I'll throw Medina in a couple lineups just so my other 60% on Reese aren't fully dead. I mean, if he loses in the second round, let me get a little bit of a chance with some Medina lineups. But yeah, I really don't think Medina's that good. It's just more the potential of Reese gassing out, and then Medina's kind of like a brawler. He could go out there, maybe get a knockout late and put up a big score. So I like this fight. I think it's a top 3 fight on the card, maybe top 4 fight on the card to target, and I'll be pretty heavy on it. Maybe all in if I'm only making like 10 lineups.
I don't think I'm going to get any Medina. Like, that dude got outstruck. He landed 28 significant strikes on Contender Series. Got outlanded like 80-28, taken down 6 or 7 times. Like, he just didn't look good. It's Zach Reese. I'm surprised this line opened. It was like minus 350 open. I thought it opened somewhere around this minus 600. I think Reese can knock him out on the feet, can take him down. Maybe I'm letting the line dictate too much for me, but again, 20 teams or less, I'm fine going more aggressive that way. Am I more aggressive, like 4 fades, sometimes 5? I'm not going to have any Medina. I will have Zach Reese for sure, though. You will get leverage, though, with Medina, but 650 inside the distance, not even that great. I guess to the money line, though, it's solid. Yeah, no for me, though. We'll keep it going to what should be a pretty fun fight. Always love seeing Slava Claus. Viacheslav Borshchev taking on James Lontop. Borshchev minus 205, Lontop plus 175. Minus 150 for this fight to finish. Borshchev plus 140, Lontop plus 290. Is Lontop just going to strike with him? Is that all we're going to get is a 15-minute striking match? Or do you think Lontop makes in takedowns? That's my question to you. Then take it away.
I mean, if he has a ground game, I think it would be smart of him to mix in takedowns, but it looks like 2 strikers from what I've seen in this one. So I think that they're going to go out there and brawl, try and knock each other's head off. And if that's the case, I do think Borshchev is just the more well-rounded striker, more experienced striker overall, more dangerous striker as well. But he was just dropped by Chase Hooper on the feet, so that's not a great thing. He could definitely get knocked out by Lontop as well, especially with all the damage that he took in that last fight. I mean, maybe that takes it out of him going forward. You never know. So I think it's an okay fight to target. My issue is that it's just 2 strikers. So if we don't get a knockout along the way, I don't think we're going to get 100 points from either one of them. So I'll probably max my exposure around around the inside the distance line, something like that, because I don't think either one of these guys has a chance at 100 points without getting a finish. But I will say that I'll start with Borshchev as my preferred play, start building my lineups around there. If I need to save some money, then I'm fine going down to Lontop. If that's what the Shipmizer gives me, a little bit more Lontop exposure, I'm fine with that as well. But right now I have it as like a 3-star on the fight rankings. I think it's actually closer to a 2-star than a 4-star in my opinion.
Interesting. I guess kind of for that reason, and like your point you made, if it goes a decision, either scoring 100 plus is what leaves me with Lontop as my preferred play. Especially when I'm Xing out Medina, I'm Xing out Leonardo, I'm Xing out Magny. Like, there's only so many dogs I can get. And, like, 80 could be enough. Like, if this goes 15 minutes, I think both guys are landing over 100 significant strikes. If not, that means I think Lontop's probably taking them down. I think we have a fun, like, small cage. Slava Claus throws good volume. I think Lontop, the young kid, does as well. Again, if it goes a decision, which I could see, that's when I'd rather be holding a $7,500 fighter than an $8,700 fighter. But Slava Claus got mad power. And I will say, because I wrote it up too, like, not great to see someone get knocked down by Chase Hooper, a primary striker. Chase Hooper is a problem, dude. That dude just keeps getting better. He's way better at 155. And the threat of the takedown really does concern other people across from him. So I'm buying in on Chase Hooper. Also got the little Sauna narrative when I was in Vegas at the UFC PI. He was in there. The coolest dude that I talked to there. Manel Kapa's there, Tybura, Fakhretdinov, so many of them. Chase Hooper, by far the coolest dude, actually spent some time. So shout out you, Chase Hooper, who's not watching this one bit. But let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card. Francis Marshall taking on Dennis Bazooka. 8,300 Marshall, 7,400 Bazooka. We got minus 140 Marshall on the money line, plus 120 for Bazooka. Don't have an inside the distance prop for what I see, but under 2.5 is plus 170. So a lot of things to break down first. I'll break down the general. Actually, someone's calling me here. You break this down. Short notice for Bazooka, or short notice for Marshall, which is why the pricing's weird. Take it away.
Yeah, short notice fight for Marshall, so who knows how that's going to come into play. But I feel like he's got good enough cardio to be able to hold up for 3 rounds on short notice. Bazooka, probably the overall striking edge, a little bit more dangerous on the feet, I would say. But he's not good on the ground, and I think Marshall should have a decent wrestling edge, and especially if his cardio can hold up over 3 rounds, then I do like Marshall for that reason, because you could probably go out there and land 6 takedowns on Bazooka and then put up decent strikes on the ground as well. $8,300 price tag, not too bad for Marshall. I just don't love that it's short notice, and I also don't trust him to follow a smart game plan either. So it's another one where I don't love the fight to target. I think there's other better fights out there that we can start clicking on, but it is in the mid-range. We don't really need 100-plus points from these guys, and I do think they have the potential to get there. So Marshall's my preferred play. I just hope he does wrestle And then Bazooka, he's like if I need an extra underdog to throw in, then I'm fine picking him. But again, I like other underdogs more. So give me Marshall to put up 2 or maybe all 3 rounds on the scorecards.
I like Marshall too. Like Dalgarian just dogged him, but Dalgarian's got that pace that he can definitely do that too. C-Rod obviously slowed the hype train down a bit, but yeah, I mean, Marshall's still a young kid, averages over 3 takedowns per 15 in his 4 UFC Dana White Contender Series fights. I mean, like Bazooka, you look at it, he trains with Aljo, he trains with Murat, but so did Gregoria 2 weeks ago, and that dude, it was dog shit because Kazama absolutely owned the dude, and he had no cardio in him. So, like, how much stock can I put into who you train with? Now, I will say, I thought we'd have Bazooka a little higher owned, just because people I thought would look at 7,300 or 7,400, excuse me, plus 120. So the money line looks really good. I agree the ceiling isn't great, though. At this ownership, what we have him with, again, it'll be up tomorrow. I'll say it's somewhere around 20%. I will have more Bazooka than I probably planned on because I thought he might be in like the high 28%. And again, that's what we're talking. If he was 28%, I would want to be somewhere 20%. If he's 20%, I'd be fine with 28% because it can get you a Wayne Kong easier, a Zach Reese easier, an Edmund easier. Those guys put up 120. Maybe your 70 is enough. But I do prefer Francis Marshall just because I think there's way more takedown upside. And I'm not writing him off just after that Dalgarian performance. So I'm on Marshall too, but I do like the other mid-tier fights more than this fight. So it'd be like a 2.5, 3-star for me. It's somewhat low on the Marshall side, my preferred play, but it's by no means an all-in fight at all. Keep it rolling. What's going on, Rio? Good luck to my man. Going to Chicago tomorrow. 2 seats in the World Baseball Championship. Big boy prize pools up top. Good luck to you and good luck to our man Scarface. 2 of the best in the biz right there. Let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, Edmund Shahbazyan taking on Gerald Meerschaert. The most likely fight to finish on the card right here. So Edmund's minus 305, Meerschaert's plus 255. This fight's minus 500 to finish. Shahbazyan minus 250 inside the distance. Meerschaert plus 425. Edmund in round 1 plus 135. Striker and Edmund versus the grappler and Gerald Meerschaert. The young buck, Edmund. The old buck, UFC vet, Gerald. Who wins out, big brother? Good luck to Kenny, too. I forgot Kenny had a seat, too. Good luck to Kenny. Thank you, Rio.
Hell yeah. I think this is the best fight on the card to target. I think we're going to get either a knockout from Shahbazyan or a submission from Meerschaert. That's how I see it going down. I think early will favor Shahbazyan, but if he can't get that knockout early, I think he could start to fade, especially if Meerschaert's able to land some takedowns along the way. And the more Shahbazyan fades, just the more Meerschaert will put it on him. I think Meerschaert could get multiple takedowns, get a submission in the 2nd or 3rd round, put up a solid score. So I'll be probably all in on this fight. But with Shahbazyan having a minus 250 or minus 200 inside the distance line, I think he is a better play than Morales and Kong. So it's another play where I'm fine going down to him. But I'm going to take Meerschaert to pull off the upset. Give me Meerschaert to get a submission at some point. I'll have a bunch of both of them. Maybe I'll have like 55% Shahbazyan, 45% Meerschaert. Put me a little bit overweight on both guys, but this is my favorite fight to target, and I think judges won't be needed.
Yeah, the reason I'm not going all in is because let's say Edmund does try and, like, he only lands over a little over 3 significant strikes per minute. Let's say he doesn't want to, like, completely gas himself like Muradov did a couple of years back, and then GM3 just absolutely puts it on him as a big dog. So, like, a 2nd round knockout might not be enough for Edmund, which is the reason I'm not going all in. But yeah, like most GM3 wins have to score well. I think a lot of round 1 equity is in the Edmund side as well. Meerschaert's been cracked plenty of times. So definitely a good fight to target. I don't get GM3 right too often. Like I know I'm picking Edmund by 1st or 2nd round knockout. But if I have 40% Gerald Meerschaert and 30% Edmund, I'd be fine with that if I love everything else, because how the pricing works, it allows you to spend up a lot more. 3 of my 4 X's are dogs, cheap dogs, so I'll naturally be more concentrated on the other dogs I do have in my pool. Let's keep rolling, Big Marley. Next fight on the card, 2 tough ones back to back. Myron Santos taking on Ofli, we got Santos minus 200, Ofli plus 170. Again, no inside the distance props yet, but we have under 1.5 plus 165, under 2.5 minus 118. Talking line movement in this one, Santos open plus 155. It got all the way down to minus 120 that day. And then ever since then, money pretty much poured in on the Santos side. Under 2.5 and stuff. Yeah, there hasn't been enough line movement on the totals yet. And again, I'll be monitoring line movement really all the way up until lock, because a lot of these other lines have been out for over a week. These just came out in days. So again, they're a lot more inefficient. Definitely with the money, I'm on the Santos side. And for the tape I watched, like, he just looks better. He's 7 years younger. He looks like the better striker to me. 7 of his 13 wins by KO. It kind of seems like the earlier fight, though. Like, Santos looks to have the striking advantage to me. I think Ofli's best chance is if he gets it on the mat. 5 of his 11 wins by submission. I'm taking the line movement in Santos. He's my preferred play. But compared to the other 2 tough fights that are more likely to finish, that I think might even be a bigger clash of styles, I'm not sure how much I love this one. So, I don't know. I really wanted your take on it at the end of the day, but Santos is my pick right now, unless line movement changes. You're on mute.
My bad. Yeah, I think it's a decent fight to target. I like Santos to have a big striking edge, but I did like Ofli's aggressiveness. He goes out there and shoots for takedowns early. He can control the fight on the ground. I don't think he's going to like have enough strikes on the ground to have like 120 point upside. But I do think he could win a decision and score 100 points, which will be on the optimal lineup at his price. I just don't think he has any real striking, though. So if the takedowns are not there for him, I just think he's going to get tore up on the feet. Santos did look like a pretty good striker, solid leg kicks. I think he's got 7 knockouts in his 13 wins. So, yeah, if Ofli can't get the takedowns, I feel like it's a late TKO from Santos, or he could just win all 3 rounds. But at $8,500, we probably need the TKO from Santos because he wasn't high enough volume to make me think he can get 100 points in a 3-round striking-based decision win. And I do think that Ofli will land a couple takedowns throughout the 3 rounds. So Santos probably won't be scoring while he's on the ground or against the cage or whatever it is. So we're probably relying on the TKO from him at some point. So maybe I'll max my exposure with his inside the distance line. And then I'll start with him as my preferred play. And if I need to drop down, I'm fine with Ofli because I think if Ofli wins, he'll put up a pretty decent score. It'll probably be more than 10x with 90 plus upside. And that'll get it done most likely at his price. So I like this fight. I think it's maybe like the 5th or 6th best one on the card to target, but I'm fine with either guy.
Yeah, you and I see it similar. I'd be fine getting Ofli too if I can't get Santos. But if the line movement changes, like, and this line closes minus 170 plus 145, Ofli probably is my preferred play for 800 cheaper. So again, I'm very heavily weighing line movement. I always do, but especially on these tough fights with the lines coming out later, with a lot less money in it right now, the line movement will change more, and I am very interested to see where it goes. I do like both the other tough fights more, though. This is a good segue right here. So I like that Fletcher fight we talked about earlier. Then we're getting into the 3rd tough fight, Robert Valentijn, Ryan Loder, minus 170. Valentijn minus 155 Valentijn, plus 135 Loder, minus 180 for this fight to finish, plus 265 for Loder, plus 120 for Valentijn. So again, I like this fight, which is 84-78. The other one was 85-77. And I like the Fletcher one more. But I think this is a great fight to target on both sides. I'll kick it off to you to start. Preferred side, are you playing both? One of your favorites as well? How do you see it?
Yeah, I really like this fight. Loder, he looked like a good wrestler, and that's his only game plan, to go out there, land takedown, spend time in top control, or hunt for a submission along the way. If Loder wins this fight, I expect 90-plus points from him. I think he has one of the highest ceilings for the underdogs, so I will be getting Loder exposure, but I'm picking Valentijn to win. I think he could finish anywhere. I just think he's the more well-rounded fighter, should be able to dominate the striking game, and I thought he had some really good submissions as well. So even if Loder's getting takedowns, it wouldn't completely shock me to see Valentijn get a submission from bottom or get a reversal. And I think Loder could be in trouble off of his back where Valentijn could hang in there. But yeah, good fight to target. I think it's like the second, maybe third best fight on the card to target, where I want to be heavy on this fight on both sides. Maybe I'll have 50% Valentijn, 40% Loder. I don't know, but I'll be closer to all in than I will like in 50% of my lineups, let's say. Love this fight. I think it's going to be a big score from whoever the winner is, but Valentijn could put up like a sub 10x score if he's just able to keep this fight on the feet and win it there. Whereas I just have a really hard time seeing Loder win and not score well. So take that how you want. If you think Loder's a better play, I'm absolutely cool with that. But give me Valentijn to get a finish.
Yeah, for that reason, like I said, Loder was my preferred play because of his style, 600 savings when he wins. Like exactly like you said, I think he gets there and it's easier. You can build a Valentijn lineup, take Valentijn out, go Loder, 600 right there, makes you different, which is why he's my preferred side. But it's just one of my favorite fights to target on the card. Like these tough fights should be fun. That's how I'm looking at them. Like we're going to get to Angela Hill Ricci, the woman's fight I don't like as much. Didn't like the Calvillo fight as much. We talked about the two highest price, 96, 95. Like I like the 96 girl, but there's plenty of ways you can drop down and save money. I know I like these mid-tier fights, these tough fights a lot. And this is one of the better fights on the card in my opinion. So I'm excited for it. 2 fights left. I just talked about it. Again, appreciate everyone watching live or watching on playback. Always do appreciate your support. Like button, subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Bringing up Junior Tafa. Oh, gosh. That was so interesting. I mean, come on, Tafa. You can't scream like and then try and protest and flip him off and bitch slap him and say, meet me in the parking lot. You had all your chances in the cage, buddy. Come on now. All right, let's get to the next fight. Co-main event, Angela Hill, Tabitha Ricci, 8,200 Hill, 8K Ricci. And I say the price because the line has flipped. Ricci's now the favorite at minus 125, Hill plus 105, plus 325 for this fight to finish, plus 450 for Ricci, plus 675 for Hill. So when I put the odds up on Wednesday, it was minus 117, minus 103 Hill. Now it's minus 125 Ricci. So just in a day, we've had the line completely flip. I mean, I was going back and forth on like, do I put this fight as full underweight? Do I like it like the Nunes Calvillo before we added the Fletcher fight for tough? So now I know I like this fight way less than all the tough fights. I'm going to throw it to you on this right away, though. I know Ricci is my preferred play because the takedown upside and the line has now flipped and better inside the distance prop. So I'm probably going to be underweight on Hill. I always say I'll throw it to you, and then my mind keeps going and I talk. So you're so used to it by now. I appreciate it. Hill, his last 2 decisions, 104 and 105. So she can get there in a decision. But if she spends any time off her back, she loses time there, etc. Now looking at the line, everything, I'll be under on Hill. Use her in chalkier lineup since I think she'll be low owned. Ricci, I kind of want your take on. And then how does this fight, do you like this fight more or the Calvillo fight more or just neither?
I definitely like this fight more than the Calvillo fight, but I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with this fight, to be honest with you. I like Hill to have the striking edge. I like Ricci to have the wrestling edge. I think Ricci does have the higher ceiling with her wrestling potential. If she could go out there and win all 3 rounds with takedowns, she's probably going to put up a decent score in this one. Where Hill could put up a good score too, but she needs 3 rounds of striking. I don't think she could put up a big score if she spends an entire round on her back and then wins the other 2. But with the line movement, I have Ricci as the higher owned fighter, which I think leans me more to the Hill side. Just ownership alone, let me take the lower owned fighter of the 2. But if I was making one lineup, I feel like I would try to avoid this one, look to other fights more. But I'm also okay with either side of this fight. So I just have no idea what I'm going to do with this one. It's a toss-up on who's even going to win the fight. I picked Hill because she had the plus next to her name. But if Ricci had the plus next to her name, I would have picked her. So, yeah, I'm just completely torn on this one. I'll probably let the Shiptimizer decide for me. But I'll just, like, flip their projected point. Like, if we have Ricci projected for 5 more points, I'll just give her Hill's points, and I'll give Hill Ricci's points just to get different from that ownership. But I'll say Hill's my preferred play, but if I have to go down $200, then give me Ricci. I have no issues with that.
Yeah. I know Ricci's my preferred side with the line movement, with the wrestling upside, but I'm not going to X out Hill because, like you said, if she can stuff every single takedown, volume for days, I mean, she's a vet. Like maybe I think she is the better striker. I'm not sure she can stuff every takedown, and even 1 or 2 or 3, and she spends a round off her back. It's really hard for her to score enough, I think, to be optimal, especially when I love the mid-tier. We talked about all those tough fights in the mid-tier. Going to talk about the main event, 8,600, 7,600. I don't like this fight much. I do like it more than the Calvillo fight as well. You solidified that. I'll be playing more Ricci than Hill, but I will keep Hill in. Yeah, I mean, if I was playing probably 10 lineups or less, I probably wouldn't play Hill, though. I'll keep her in my 20. I'll set a max. If I did have 0, I'd be fine with that as well. Main event time, Big Marley. Should be a pretty fun. I always say pretty fun, and I can see past where it's not, but it's very important for the division, and it's very interesting because Kyle gets his biggest step up in competition for sure, taking on Jared Cannonier, the 40-year-old. So Kyle 8,600, Cannonier 76. Kyle's minus 240. Cannonier's plus 205. Inside the distance on this one is minus 140. Kyle's plus 150. Cannonier plus 300. Interesting fight. I'm going to let you take it over. How much does Kyle try and wrestle? I think a good amount, but does Cannonier lull him into a striking match? If he does just strike, does he score 80 in a win? Like, I think that's in play, and that doesn't get there. Cannonier, I think most wins do get there. The line feels a little wide to me, but Kyle's been good, and the Fighting Nerds have been good. So I kind of threw a lot of questions at you. Still a lot going on in my head about this one, but I'm curious what you got.
Yeah, I think I like this fight a lot. I'll be heavy on it, but probably not all in because of the Borralho side. I think he should go out there and wrestle. I just don't think that he'll like chain wrestle if it's not going his way, because I do think he could win the fight on the feet. I think he'll be the faster striker. He's dangerous. Cannonier's 40 years old, but Cannonier's like in his prime damn near at 40 years old. He was even looking good in his last fight where he lost, but it was an early stoppage. Maybe he was on his way to getting finished eventually, but it was an early stoppage, and I think he was winning the fight up until that happened too. He had 50 DraftKings points already in the 4th round, and if he ended up winning the fight, he would have scored close to 100, if not more. So I think if Cannonier does win this fight, he has knockout potential. He has high volume potential. He could even land a takedown of his own if he wanted to, and I think he's a lock for 10x or more, with more likely 100 points rather than less than 10x on the Cannonier side. Whereas if Borralho wins, I think he could spend a little bit too much time on the feet and maybe score right around that 10x range, which might not get it done. So he's the reason it's not an all-in fight for me. But I think it's going to be a little bit closer than the line indicated. So I picked Cannonier as my winner, but no real confidence in it. I haven't bet him yet, even though he's plus 200, and I'm picking him to win. Because it wouldn't shock me to see another Fight Nerds kid go out there and look a career best when he's way younger, way faster, better on the ground, better grappler, better wrestler. So Borralho definitely has paths to a high score. I just didn't love the line. I thought it was a little bit too high, and I also don't trust him to wrestle as much as I would like him to, especially if I was backing him. So give me Cannonier as my preferred play, but I'll probably be like, I don't know, 40 to 50% Cannonier, and then 30 to 40% Borralho, something like that.
Yeah, I see it the same way. I think the line's too wide. Cannonier's my pick because of the line. He's my preferred play because, again, that 1,000 goes a long way. Like Kyle and 95 points might not get there at 8,600. 95 for 7,600 for Cannonier, I feel confident will get there. And it's not an all-in fight because of the Kyle side. It's 4 UFC decision wins, 68, 75, 80, 77. Yes, those were all 3-round fights. You add 2 more rounds, you still might not even get 85 for some of the 68, 90. So we like those mid-tier tough fights. There's 100-plus upside in some of these. We talked about Zach Reese, talked about Edmund Shahbazyan for a little more. I'm not going to be underweight. And when we had 11 fights, I was going to play less Kyle than I will now with only 11 fights. because it was harder to get different. Now with 12 fights, I'm fine. Even if I had 45 Caio, 35 Cannonier, if that's what it ended up and I love my script, I'd go with it. But on paper right now, I do think the line's too wide in the 1K savings. But again, not an all-in fight in case Caio doesn't wrestle. And I do think it's a better live betting spot on Cannonier, even though like the number looks good right now. I mean, the number would be a lot worse, or you'd get a lot better number on Cannonier if Caio goes out there and takes him down in the first 2 minutes and controls them. You're looking at like plus 500 Cannonier maybe. If you can't stop takedowns, it's going to be a long night for him. I'd rather get plus 155 and see that he actually can stuff takedowns is how I'd approach it. Get a little less CLV, but don't think you're dead after round one. So I'd rather miss the boat that way. It's all 12 fights, Big Marley. Coming off a pay-per-view, they always feel thrown together. Like name value-wise, not a great card. They're adding the tough fights here. It's 7 Eastern. It's in the Apex. Like live fans of the nuts. But it's 12 fights. There's money to be made, and no one's been hotter than MMA than the SHIPIT Nation members. I'm shouting out the members because I haven't won squat. I don't think you've won squat. Our members are winning, though. That's how we love to see. Again, we're not just like play our core. No, look at the stone. It has the ages on there, the reach advantage, the height advantage, significant strikes per minute, the wrestling. Look at line movements. Look at our tier rankings. There's so much to look at. The videos, our ownership. Look, education video. Watch the education video. MMA is such a process. I always harp on it. It's not about who you play, who you pick to win. It's how you construct them in their lineup. All DFS sports are, but more than almost every DFS sport, tennis and MMA, because it's a head-to-head thing. There's only so many matches. There's only so many fights. So you don't stack really. Only so many combinations. When you win, you want to win all the cheese. So, yeah, I love MMA. I'm so super pumped. Again, we're off next week. No better time to be off if you're with football going on. Well, I guess it's week 1 college football. It's not NFL yet. We will be back. NFL will have Thursday night football. Friday, the Packers play. Saturday will be UFC. Sunday football. Monday football in 2 weeks. No better time. Head over to ShipItNation.com, as you can see. It's no brainer over here. If you want to pay $800 more for content, you have that option. Get an optimizer over here. NFL and college football for one low price, and that does include the Shiptimizer as well. Again, shout out before I send it to you, Big Marley, to get us on out of here and say the last thoughts. Alaska Jeff, you did win the monthly membership on our Man Cheats. Email info@shipitnation.com like it says. Take a picture of your YouTube. We will get you hooked up and definitely get in the Discord. Final thoughts, Big Marley, before we get on out of here and do a drafters draft coming up right after this.
Yeah, join us in that drafters draft. Looks like we're going to have to wait for the next one at this point. But yeah, good luck to all our guys in the MLB live final. Hope we get somebody up top in that one. But good luck to you, Title. Good luck to everybody listening. Let's ship it.
Good luck, everybody. Appreciate all your support as always. Good luck, Scarface. Good luck, Rio. Good luck, Kenny. Good luck, anybody else in the World Baseball Championship. Let's stay hot. Let's make some money. Hoop. Go get that 3-peat, baby. For Big Marley, I'm Title Town. Peace. Be safe.